Hello and welcome to the 6th episode of the Clean Hour podcast. Thank you very much for joining us again. Hope you've been enjoying the previous 5 episodes. Last episode was all about finances and financial management for an exterior cleaning business. So if you haven't listened to that, go back and listen to that because it will really help you in your journey. Today's episode is a really, really important one, and it's probably the hardest thing exterior cleaners face, and that's sales. But luckily, we have the man for the job because, Matt, this is your expertise. This is your bread and butter. So looking forward to this one. I think it's going to be a good one, this.
Yeah, sales, it's really, really important, isn't it? And people are either really good at it, really bad at it, really confident with it, or try and shirk it off altogether. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to the podcast. It'll be interesting to see what questions are up in there and where we go with it. But yeah, man, all good. All is good.
Excellent. So sales then. So will marketing and sales, right, would you agree that they're the two most important things a business needs to master, or at least have in place if you want to grow? Because it's all right being, I say this in my videos, it's all right being the best cleaner, having the best kit, but if you can't market and sell, let's not talk about marketing today, but sales. If you can't sell, what is the point? Because you can have all the leads in the world, all the kit, you can have everything in place, but if you can't get that over the line, you're going to struggle and you're not going to be able to grow. So from your experience, would you say that sales is the hardest thing that people struggle with in this industry?
I think it is, yeah. I think what it comes back to the last episode it's a very British thing, innit? We don't like talking money. I think we're brought up that way. I think we're very conservative and reserved around money, and we almost find it embarrassing to talk about money. And I think the people that do well in sales, especially when you're selling your own services in your own business, the people that do well don't have that stigma of embarrassment around the price. Everyone has this stigma to talk about money. And I think if you master sales, and I don't mean become salesy, don't become slimy, just master sales, then I think you'll see a massive change in your business. You'll see a massive change in the money coming into your business. And it's a really important subject to cover because people are just absolutely, they're terrified of it for some reason. The number of people we speak to, and I hear the number of people that other people speak to, people that generate leads saying, I've got this client, he's getting 120 leads a month. You can't close one. Can't close one. Now you have to really look at, and their defense mechanism is, the leads are shit. The leads are shit. You need to look at your sales process. If you're getting 5 leads and you can't close them, then especially in exterior cleaning, then your marketing's wrong. Your lead generation's wrong. But if you're getting 120 leads a month and you can't close one of them, then you have a sales problem, not a leads problem. So yeah, it's really important, really important.
It's interesting you said the word slimy there, because I think the first thing to talk about is maybe reframing sales. Like what does sales mean to you? Why do you think sales has a bad rep? Because I would say it does overall. When you think salesman, like you said, slimy, sleazy, dishonest. I think we've got to move away from that, don't we? Because why do you think it has a bad rep? I think in business, not just pressure washing, but yeah, why do you think it has a bad reputation, sales?
I would say because sales predominantly, right? If you're a sales rep, if you work for a company doing sales, you are probably on a base salary and then on a really big commission. So most sales jobs, they will sell their grandmother to get the commission. They will promise you the world and then under-deliver once you've signed the dotted line. Whatever it is, for a car, for a holiday, for a house, whatever it is, anybody that is in commissioned sales So that's the 2 point you need to look at: commission sales, and then you selling your own services. You're not commissioned when you sell your services. You are selling your services at a value that you believe is right and a price that is right to do that job and make profit. So there's the two things. There's no salesy, sleazy sales techniques used to sell exterior cleaner, unless you work for a large company and you're the sales rep, and then they'll promise the world. And you look back in your own life, you buy something, you buy a brand new car, for example, and the sales rep says, "Oh, mate, it'll come with a full tank of fuel. Yeah, we'll put the mats in, we'll do this, we'll do that." You go to collect it, there isn't a full tank of fuel, there isn't any mats in it, he hasn't done what he said, and he's not there today, it's his day off. And you're like, "Mate, you winding me up?" Because that's what they do. They promise you the world, then under-deliver. So there's two different types of salespeople. There's the commission-based, and then there's the owner-operator that is selling his services on value. And you need to distinguish between the two. You're not a commission-based sales rep. You need to be really good at sales and you need to be able to close, but you're not going down the line of commission-based. So your offer isn't on bullshit, broken promises, lies, and just saying whatever they want to hear to get it across the line. Yours is on value, quality of work, but your price is your price. That's where I'd start with that.
Absolutely. I think with roof cleaning as well, because it's much higher ticket. Sales really is relationships, isn't it? It's how can you build the rapport and the relationship with the customer and kind of work out their needs as well. You're not going into it, like you said, with that kind of sleazy mindset. You go in there thinking, can I build rapport with this customer? Can I give them what they want? And a lot of people, they don't. With sales, right, you're selling the outcome, aren't you? You're not selling the product. And I think that's where a lot of people fall short. I see people's ads and people saying, we clean with this, we clean with this surface cleaner and apply this chemical and la, la, la. But it doesn't really matter. That's not what people are interested in. People want a clean roof. They want to stop having to pick up moss out their gutters or on their driveway or patio. They want to stop slipping on their patio if you're cleaning patios. You know what I mean? So I think we've got to look at that, isn't it? We've got to look at the outcome rather than the products. And I think that's what a lot of people make the mistake in this industry.
Yeah, you're selling a fix to people's pain points. People are coming to us because they have a pain point. The pain point might be blocked gutters. It might be a slippy patio. It might be they're fed up of sweeping moss. It might be they're trying to sell the property and they want it bruised up. So that's the pain point. You've got to sell the solution to the pain point. I know what the pain point is pretty much with every roof clean, right? It's the fed up of sweeping moss. The fed up of sweeping moss up. So when I'm doing my, if I'm going to see them and I'm walking around the house with them, I'll bring that up. God, you must be driving you mad, sweeping this moss up. Oh, mate, every day I'm out here. It drives me insane. There you go. Well, luckily for you, I have the solution to remove that because I'm a moss removal specialist. Brilliant. Job done. And then it literally is getting your price across, isn't it? There's nothing sleazy about it. They've got a problem. I can solve it. I'm not promising them the world. I'm just saying, you've got a problem. I will resolve this, and they pretty much know that because they've looked at my social media. They've seen my Google reviews. They've seen all my videos. They've seen everything we do. That's why I'm stood in their garden. This is just now to finalise it, to give them a price and finalise it. They've done all the research before I've got to that garden. So this doesn't have to be salesy, doesn't have to be sleazy. I don't have to promise them things that I can't deliver. I just say, yeah, Moss, I'll get rid of that for you. I'll do all your gutters, I'll do all your windows on the way down. It'll be beautiful. Like every post you see on Instagram. Okay, Matt, what's the price? £1,000. Job done. Thanks. When can I sign up? That's it. There's no sleaziness. There's no sales. There's no pushing. There's no nothing. That's it. Very, very simple. That is it.
Yeah, outcome based. I think I take it back to my previous business, the wedding company. I did really, really well with sales and marketing. Like, it was just something that just worked and we excelled at. And I used to look at all the other photographers and videographers, and in their ads they'd be like, we use this professional Canon Mark D, 5D Mark III camera, and we give you 600 8K high resolution images and all this. But my ads, I'd be like, we capture memories. That's what I would say. And I'd say, like, when people aren't around anymore, you can look back at our work and still hear voices and see them and stuff. They're the same product, but two completely different ways of looking at it. One was showing the technology and the technical side of it. One was pulling on the emotion. And that's it, really. That, for me, that's sales in my head anyway. It's looking at the outcome and like with pressure washing and roof cleaning, it's the same thing, really. We're just cleaning dirt off a roof or cleaning dirt off a driveway or patio. But it's how you position it and how you communicate it on your socials, how you put it in your ads, and then ultimately how you communicate to the customer, isn't it? And it's such a small tweak, but if you make that tweak, your sales become so much easier because it's genuine emotion and a relationship instead of just giving them a load of waffle, basically, which a lot of people do, talking about PSI, chemicals, all this kind of stuff. People don't care. People do not care. They just want it cleaned.
And purchasing is a feeling.
Yes.
Isn't it? It's a feeling. You're buying. It's a feeling. You're buying that. You're removing your pain point, but it's a feeling. It's a feeling, and we speak about it. People buy from people. People buy from authenticity, and they buy from people they trust. But everything we've spoke about over the last 6 weeks is all the building blocks to get to this point. Innit? We've built the trust, we've built the social media, we've done the marketing, we know the numbers. Now we're at the point of execution. This is what this journey is all about. It isn't this, it isn't just one piece to the jigsaw. It's everything you need to do to get yourself to stood there. And then the final piece now is closing that deal. And it is... you've got to have an understanding on how people operate and what they want. People are busy, right? People are busy. Everyone's busy. I'm busy. You're busy. Everyone's busy. People don't want you stood in their garden for an hour waffling on about how great the air system is, how great your pressure washer is, how great your chemicals are, how it's, they're not interested. It needs to be short, snappy, no sleazy, not desperate. This is what I do. I remove your moss. Job done. That's the price. Next, move on. And I think where people struggle with sales, right, in my eyes, is when I've taught people to sell, I think where they struggle is they try and oversell. And I mentioned it in the last podcast, where they give a price and then instantly, before the client's even had time to think about what he's going to say, they then spiel off why it's that price. And that shows two things, right? It shows that you're not confident in your price because now you're having to spiel off to justify it. And you should never have to justify your price. Your price is your price. Your price isn't for everyone's budget. And if it's too dear for them, that's absolutely fine. You wish them well and you part ways. It's not a problem. You should never, if you're having to justify your price, then you really need help in your sales. You just tell them the price and leave it. Let them make the first move. Let them ask the question. That's it. But people, and I see it all the time, they say a price and then have to justify it. And you don't. That highlights to the buyer that something isn't right. Something's just not right. Because now he's justifying it. He's now going salesy. He's now pushing it on me. Nah, stop. Tell them the price. Be quiet. Promise you. Works a treat.
I think the question is, how can we communicate value, isn't it? I think really. Because if a customer has 5 or 6 quotes, or when if you give someone a quote and they say, "Oh, I've just got a few other quotes to get through," what they're really saying is, it's just on price here. That's what they're saying. We don't value you enough or trust you enough just to say yes straight away. So ultimately, then it coming down to a price. Because cheap competitors will always exist. There's always the people who race to the bottom, and we see it. They're always there, always there. So I guess it's how can we justify our quality and our value and our premium pricing, if that's what we're going to do. How can we do that? So how is that possible then? What should we be doing then to communicate our value? Does it start with, I say to my clients a lot, and a lot of it is from you, is I say before we run ads and stuff, I say make sure you post on your socials, make sure your socials and your Google My Business and your reviews are in place, because it makes the sell so much easier. Because what people do is they'll click on your ad, they might check out your Google My Business, they'll check out your socials, and that's where, for me, that's when the value is communicated. And by the time it comes to you standing on their doorstep, they already get to know you, and the sale is almost done, as long as you don't balls it up or do something weird on the doorstep. I think that's how you communicate value. Is that fair to say? Where you put it in place before the meeting, so the meeting is much easier. Yeah. Is that right?
It is, yeah. You're 100% right there. I'm glad you've listened to me over the years. That value is built long before the price, right? And I think we had this conversation on Wednesday about Gordon Ramsay gives everything away for free.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't he? He gives all his recipes, he gives all his ingredients, he films how he puts it all together, and he gives you everything for free, right? Everything. But people still flock to his restaurants. They still flock. You try and book the Savoy Grill in London this week, you ain't getting it. There's months and months and months and months of waiting list to get in there. But he's told you how he cooks his beef Wellington. He's shown you how to make it. He's shown you every ingredient, how long it needs to go in the oven for, right? What he's done is he's building the value and he's building the trust long before people book a meal with him, right? And it's the same with exterior cleaning. If you're not building the trust, if you're not giving people the value in your social media, if you're not just showing them before and afters or a time lapse, you're actually getting on the camera and giving them value of why it needs to be done, and not so much how you're going to do it, but why it needs to be done. What does it prevent? What does it prevent? What do I get back from it? Well, it could increase the price of my house if I'm selling it. The curb appeal. Anyone coming to buy it looks at it and goes, wow, that looks really nice and it's well kept. First impressions. You know, there's a value to everything you do. And by building that long before you're stood with that client might be watching you a year, 2 years, 3 years. They may not be able to afford your roof clean or your external cleaning package when they first came across you, but they've grown with you over the last 6 months, 12 months, a year. They've grown with your journey. The value's already there, right? They know what you do. They feel that they know you. The last bit of it is you giving them a price. And if you've built the value into it, you don't have to give them the value in the garden. They know the value. That's why you stood there. You stood there because they know the value. All they want is, I guess it's more of just a final confirmation that I've watched them for a year. Now he's stood in my garden. He's exactly the same as what I've seen on social media. I really like the guy already. And his price is his price. I know why his price is that, because he's explained it in previous social media videos of how he gets to that price. So there's no shock when you tell him. And then the sale, you're right, becomes, it's not always a formality, but it's pretty much a lot easier to sell if you've built the value behind the scenes. You can't build value in someone's back garden, right? And give them a price of £1,000 and build the value there and then, because it just comes across salesy. So you just got to do it, not offline, but you've got to do it, do you know what I mean, way before you get to that point of executing a price, definitely.
The work starts way before that, like we said. Like just one that's just came to my head now. I don't even know. I think this is a relevant example. We have Sky TV, right? So all the Sky Sports packages and stuff. They sent a letter out the other day saying your prices are going up by X amount. It wasn't even that much, but it's like £4 or £5 for each service. So Sky Sports is going up, Sky TV and all this kind of stuff. So you could call me a mug for paying it, but I could easily have one of them dodgy sticks that a lot of people have. But Sky have built that reputation for themselves and the quality that they do provide. So they can just send me a letter saying the price is going up, and it's like take it or leave it. And I've taken it. I've taken it because I know the quality that I get with it, and I think that all starts with because they've built their brand, they've built the trust, the quality they provide. They don't even have to justify it anymore. They can just say, "Here's the price, and it's going up. Take it or leave it," and they don't really care. Whereas I could easily just pay what I pay a month. I could pay a year for a dodgy stick, but I don't because the quality has been communicated. Does that make sense? Is that a good analogy?
It is, yeah. Because if you look at all the big brands, right? All the big brands they build everything behind the scenes, don't they? And I go back to Gordon Ramsay, I go back to his restaurants, right? You want to go and eat in the Savoy, two of you, and have these beef Wellington and veg or chips, a couple of pints, a couple of shorts and a dessert. It's going to cost you the best part of £500, right? But you can't get in. You can't get in. You physically cannot get in. You know, he's not even cooking it. He's not even the chef. So you're paying for something that he's built through value in social media and his reputation.
I've never thought about that he's not actually cooking.
He's not cooking
you
it.
still flock to it. Yeah, that's crazy.
And people are flocking to it, right? So you can do this. If you build your... And this is another subject which I think we might have done or we're going to do. You know, your personal brand... People will want the patio cleaned by your company if you've built your personal brand and your business brand with value. You might not be doing it. You know, these people that have built really successful companies that are doing great work. You know, Joe Wicks, right? Joe Wicks isn't a personal trainer. He doesn't go around training every single person. But his value of what he teached on YouTube and during lockdown has scaled him to millions and millions of pounds. But he's not teaching everyone. He's just built the value in before people even get to the program. People now get to the program and want to buy it because Joe Wicks' name's on it. That's it. He's not doing it. And that's what I think people miss with the sales. That they think, oh, if I get loads of leads, I'll just turn up and I'll sell it. Well, no, it doesn't work like that. You know, people are, especially when you're selling big ticket items, right? When you're selling big ticket items, people need to see the value in it. They have to get that feeling that the value is there for what they're about to spend. But if you've missed it out on your socials or all you're ever showing is time lapses, then you're going to really struggle. You're going to really struggle to convert unless you are absolutely shit hot, nailed, confident. But if you're not and you're missing all the tricks and you're saying the wrong things at the wrong time, then you are always going to struggle. Doesn't matter who your marketing agency is. It doesn't matter how many leads they're going to get you. You will struggle to convert if everything else isn't aligned and you're not operating and functioning in the way that sales need to operate and function. It's just a given. It's massive.
Alignment's a really good word there. So I'm just thinking, like, $2,000. Let's say if you were to book a holiday, I think I use holiday quite a lot because I love holidays, I love booking holidays. But let's say there's a $2,000 holiday, and the company says it's $2,000 to wherever, I don't know, Italy, whatever. If they didn't have any pictures, if they didn't have any reviews, if they had no evidence that they go to Italy and they have this, you know, people have a good time, would you just fork over $2,000? You'd be like, what? No? Can I see some reviews? Oh, sorry, we haven't got any. Okay, no worries. You got any photos or videos of the destination? No, sorry, we haven't done that. Okay. Don't we want to give you $2,000 then? And that's no different to exterior cleaning. A $2,000 roof clean. Have you got evidence of it? Have you got your reviews up on Google? No. Okay. Have you got any videos of you just explaining what happens? No. Okay. You got a couple of before and afters that you posted 3 or 4 months ago. No. Sales so hard. It's so hard. Almost impossible. But most people do that. They don't make the change, and then they wonder why sales aren't working and they're not closing these leads. Because, yeah, you can say, oh, the leads are shit, oh, it's the time of year, or this, that, and the other. If the leads are there and you can sell, you're going to make money. Yeah, in the last episode we said numbers don't lie in terms of finances. They don't lie really in sales either. If you're getting 100 leads a month and you're quoting 30, 40 of them and you're winning nothing, the numbers are telling you a big issue there. And you can choose to accept it or you can ignore it. It's up to you. But it won't lie to you.
No. And that's the point with it, isn't it? The numbers don't lie. You know, whether it's a financial number or it's a quantity number, they don't lie. And sometimes you need to have a really honest look at yourself. You know, and one of the questions that I asked at the networking days we did was, would you buy from your company? And the percentage of people that said no was astonishing. It blew me away. I'm thinking, you wouldn't even buy from your own company. How are you expecting the audience, to buy from your company if you wouldn't buy from it? And it all leads up. We are taking a cold prospect through our social media journey. We are warming them up through our value, through our trust, through our Google reviews. We are warming them up to the point not everybody's going to find you and want a roof clean or a patio clean tomorrow. They may not want it till next year, right? They may be thinking 2027, I'm going to get my patio cleaned and repointed, right? So they found you because you know how the algorithm works. Once you search for it, you're inundated with every cleaning company in the planet is on your social media, and then they start following you. But if you're not warming them up with value, you're just missing. That's your biggest shop window, isn't it? If your shop window isn't enticing, if it isn't trustworthy, if it isn't giving them value, if it isn't giving them a reason to stop and listen to what you're saying, you know, whether it be funny, educational, attention grabbing, whatever it is, if it doesn't do that, why would they come and buy from you? And I see it all the time. I have this thing, right, where I study a lot of businesses through the mentoring. So I'm always keeping an eye, not an eye, but I'm always doing my research on businesses. And I can tell you when certain businesses in our industry start to get a little bit worried that the work's drying up, because I see a spike in their social media and it stands out like a bulldog's bollock. Seriously, I can see it. It literally, I say, oh, they haven't posted for ages. And then there's a spike, right? They then come into this spike thing where they may post for 4 or 5 days over and over again. And then quotes that they've done, you know, a few months ago start to fall in, and then they disappear again because they've got work in front of them. And you can see the patterns. I know which companies they are, and I know because I study companies, I study for the good bits that they do, but also the bad bits to learn from. But I can see this pattern that people only start building the trust when they haven't got any work. And if I turn it round again, you know, sensible people come to me early on when they've got money in the business. But the number of people I speak to that need help because they didn't want to spend the money a year ago, but now want to spend it today when they're on their arse and they've got no money is unbelievable. Is unbelievable. You know, you've got to, everything we speak about on this journey is about getting you to that point. And if you're not doing the rest, you're always going to struggle in sales. You just are. Every business is warming you up. Doesn't matter what you buy, right? Why do holiday companies start showing summer 2027 in November, December, January, February, March? Yeah. Because it's freezing. You're fed up. It's pissing down with rain. You're depressed. You want an holiday. So they start putting the TUI adverts on, the Jet2 holidays, the tune with Jet2. You know, everything is to look, it's warming you up. They're showing people on beaches, they're showing them in pools, they're showing them in lovely accommodation, they're showing eating great food and having family time. You're sat at home in your house, it's pissing down for the last month, you're freezing cold, and you're like, fuck, I'm going on holiday. That's what they're doing. They're warming you up. They're warming you up to book an holiday for next year. It's not something they've just thought of. This is something that works. You know, but with exterior cleaning, we have got to keep people warmed up all year. All year. You know, this isn't, you don't have your roof cleaned every year. So for my customers, they're pretty much a one-off customer for 5 years. So I've got to keep them warm until they're ready to execute. So then that way, I've got to keep doing everything I'm doing socially and keep the work good, keep the social media current, keep it active, keep it look like I care, keep adding value. And then when they're ready, they pull the trigger. Getting to the point of sales in the garden there's so much to do before you get to that point. But it is easy if you understand sales.
We'll get into, in a sec, actually being on the doorstep, any advice that we can give. But keep on what you're saying. It's dig you well before you're thirsty. That's the phrase that I think with that. There's a reason why, like, Halloween starts advertising even earlier every year. I swear, like, end of summer, Halloween, bam. You know, September, October, Christmas starts popping up. John Lewis advert gets earlier and earlier every year. And like you said, it's priming. You know, the Christmas sales don't start on the 24th of December, do they? They're advertising really early, months before, to lead up to it. And I think with pressure, let's just take a pressure washing company, for example, not roof cleaning, because more people do pressure washing. If you start a business in January, let's just say January the 1st, you go, right, I'm going to start a pressure washing business. I think the biggest mistake you can make is leaving it till the 1st of March to start posting photos and videos and start trying to get reviews. You need to use your time wisely. Something that I was very conscious about when I started in the January was, right, I'm going to go to all my neighbours, I'm going to get reviews, I'm going to do some jobs for free, I'm going to start posting pictures, because by the time when pressure washing season comes around, you're warmed up. I get it all the time. I get people saying, you know, people I had chats with 5 or 6 months ago about coming on board with me, and they'll message me, like you said, when they're desperate, when they need work, and they go, right, I'm ready to go now. And I'm like, well, it's gone now. Your place is gone. I'm sorry, but you're too late. But they're ready then because they don't think about it until they need to, and then they panic, and then they're slashing prices, and then that's when all the trouble starts, and that's when it's harder to sell, as we know, because you're in a place of desperation. So you have to use your time wisely and forecast where do you want to be in a few months. Put the work in now, because it makes the sale so much easier when it comes to it. And they're all easy things to do. Like, we've got reviews, social proof, photos. We've been through all these time and time again, but easy, free, and it'll help your sales so much more in a few months' time when you need to.
Yeah, consistency wins the race.
Yes,
Don't it?
Yeah, for sure. I think so. So now we've talked about kind of building the trust before. Let's take it to an actual quote now. Are you happy to go through a bit of that? Kind of.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's say,
absolutely.
okay, because when someone gets a quote for their roof, unless they have to have you, which is unlikely. But if you do those things that we've said, it makes it more likely. But let's assume they're going to get 4 or 5 people to quote, because they just do. That's what people do. What's like not a perfect, 'cause you're never going to get a perfect one, but what's a good journey then? So you turn up to the customer's property. What are you thinking in your head? What's your first step?
So I've looked at the property online. I need to break this down. The only reason I'm going to that property is because I probably can't get the full picture of access, or it's over £2,000. Anything under that, I don't go to.
So you quote remotely for jobs under 2K?
I don't even speak to them. No phone calls. It's all done over email. The very first time I will speak to that person, if it's under £2,000, is the day I turn up for the job.
Okay, interesting.
That's the first time I speak to them. Never met them, never spoke to them. And that for people listening, that will seem quite bizarre. But that just goes to show you how we built the value beforehand. When you're sending someone a quote for £2,000 and you've never spoke to them, and they're booking you in, that shows you that your social media and your value is on point. Because would you really spend £2,000 with someone you've never met or never spoke to? But people do. People do. Anything over £2,000 I go to, right? So I'll rock up. I've looked at the property already, so I've got an idea. I already know the price. I'm just now going to look at the access, really. Or if there's power cables I can't really see. Anything like that. So I pull up on the drive. I already know the price. I know the price. I know it's 3 days. It's £3,000, right? Let's say it's £3,000. It's a 3-day clean. It's £3,000. What I do, right? I'm looking for key indications, right? In the gardens, in the driveway. And when I'm talking about key indications, is there a dog? Is there kids' bikes? Is there a football flag? Is there a rugby sticker on the car? I'm looking for key indications. Key indications that can make anything not salesy and make it humanized, right? So I might turn up and, for example, there might be a Army Be the Best sticker on the back of the vehicle. I've got a lead now. I've got a lead straight away. Good morning, nice to meet you. Matt, Cotswold Roof Cleaning. You ex-military? How do you know that? So you've got Army Be the Best on the back of your car. Yeah, mate, yeah. Are you ex-military? Yeah, I am, yeah. 17 years. Bang, done. That's it, done. So I'm looking. I might be a football sticker. It might be a Chelsea sticker. And I might say, I'm a Liverpool fan. I might say to him, mate, there's some dirt on the back of your car. What do you mean? So there's some dirty old Chelsea sticker on there. Yeah, I'm humanising it. It's not sales. I broke the barrier. If they open the door and the dog runs out, right, I drop to my knees and I play with the dog for 30 seconds before I even speak to them. People are obsessed with their pets. They look after their pets like they should, like it's the most important thing on the planet, right? They open the door, the dog runs out, and they say, okay, you're okay with dogs? Oh, yeah. I drop to my knees and I play with the dog for 30 seconds. Then I stand up, shake the hand and introduce myself. I'm just humanising the whole process, right? And these are things that we teach how to do that, because that takes the sales aspect out of it. People warm to people and buy off people. But the whole process of me doing that quote, and then I just say to them, look, all I'm here for is to check your access and answer any questions you've got. Do you have a walk round? Yeah, cool. Yeah, Christ, must be fed up of sweeping moss off that patio. Oh, Matt, it's every day. Every day. Okay, cool, I can get rid of that for you. Yeah, not a problem here. And then I'll say, here's the bad news. Firstly, we're not the cheapest. Secondly, I can't get you in for 3 months and you need to pay a 20p deposit to book us. No, it's fine. 3 months is fine. How much is it? It's going to cost you £3,000. Bang. Silence. Don't say a word. Let them speak. Bang. Sale done.
It's interesting. Sorry to jump in there. There are three, what seem like on the surface, 3 big roadblocks. Wait list, you're not the cheapest, and 3K or whatever. But you're using it to your advantage, aren't you?
Yeah.
That's what
absolutely.
You're doing.
Yeah. And it's job done. Not everybody buys. That's fine, because not everyone's your customer. But we do all right. Our close rate is high. Our order book is good. The price is right. People want us to clean their roof. They want the quality. They see the value. But I'm in that garden no longer than probably 10 minutes maximum. Some are even shorter. You know, I closed our biggest sale this month, £6,000 for a domestic roof. I was in the garden probably 4 minutes, if that. £6,000. They were like, yeah, brilliant, Matt. Yeah, absolutely. Send us the deposit. We'll get it paid this evening. Okay, cool. See you in 3 months. Job done.
Question I have here.
Yes.
That level of confidence in it, if let's just say all your bookings cancelled tomorrow until September, don't know what happened, something's happened down in the Cotswolds, right? Would you have the same approach if you quote for your next one to quote?
Yeah.
That's the big thing, isn't it?
Because it's proven. when you start changing everything, right? When you start changing your pricing, your strategy, your marketing, right? My marketing, right, has been the same for 4 years. My pricing has been the same for 4 years. My approach to sales has been the same for 4 years. If it works, you don't change it. What I have done is I have refined the processes and made little changes, but I've documented the journey and I've documented the numbers and the success rate. How many people do we speak to when I say to them, how many leads you getting? Oh, don't know. How many are you converting? Don't know. How much is the acquisition of sale? Don't know. Right, okay. Blows my mind. If you don't know that, if you don't know those bits, then you're going in blind every time. These are all the bits you need to know. I know, I did a video not long ago and I said, I know that I close 1 in 10. So I need 10 opportunities for 1 sale. So if I need 20, if I need 10 sales a month, then I need 100 leads, don't I? Because I know that. And then all I do is I call it counting the no's. If I know I get 1 sale in every 10, I know, go and quote today, no, 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 bang, sale. Then I start the no's again. 1 no, 2 no, 3 no, 4 no, 5 no, 6 no, 7's a yes. Start the no's again. I know that because that's how the process works. So I know where I am in the sales process. And pretty much, if you look back over the data, that's how it is. 10 no or 9 no's, 1 yes, job done. I'm not panicking. People panic. They go and quote 3 jobs today and don't get any, and then go into a mad panic and think, oh, I'm too dear.
Yep,
I'm too dear. I need to reduce my prices. No, you don't. But if you don't know what your process is and what the numbers are telling you, you know, the 4th one might have been a yes. Then you get the 4th one, right? Because you've lowered your prices. There you go. You're now in the race to the bottom.
Yeah.
Because the 4th one might have been a yes at your £1,000. If you've lowered it to 850, you think, oh, I need to be 850. Then every quote's 850. What happens if the 850 start to slow down? Do you go to 750? Then they slow down. Do you go to 650? And it's nothing to do with the price. It's the not getting the value before you're stood there. That's what they're not getting. Not
and also,
the price.
by knowing your numbers as well, it helps your marketing, because if you want 10 jobs a month and you know that you just said yours is 1 in 10, and let's say your cost per lead is a tenner, then you've got to spend about £1,000. If you do that, you'll hit your figures, and you just rinse and repeat every single month. That's what it allows you to do. If you don't know your close rate or your cost per lead or any of that kind of stuff, how can you ever scale that to grow a business in the future? You can't. We're just winging it and guessing it and hoping work comes in. If you don't know those figures, they're so important.
And what also is really important with that, just on a side note to that, is if you know those figures and you know your cost per lead and you know how many you need to get to make a sale, then you can change that whenever you need. If you're fully booked up for 3-4 months, then dial it back a bit. Turn your ad spend down. If you can turn your ad spend down to, say, half, then you're going to keep a steady flow coming in, but you're going to save yourself £500 a month for a couple of months. Or if you know you're coming into a real peak season and you want to make hay while the sun shines, turn it up a bit. But if you don't know the numbers, you can't do that. You're just doing it blind. But the number of people that are doing it blind, and you know, they're not alone. There's more people doing it blind than are doing it, you know, with data in front of them. And it's really the key element. The sales bit, right, is a personal thing. You've got to read the situation. You've got to know when you can have a laugh, when you can't have a laugh, when people don't want to be bothered. And you'll also know the customers that want that extra time with you and will ask you a million questions. You have to be able to read people, read the situation, read the environment. You know, if it's 5 o'clock at night, they've just come home from work and the kids are running around causing chaos, they're probably not going to be engaged with you, and they're probably not going to want you there for 35 minutes telling them how great your fucking flat surface cleaner is and how brilliant your chemicals are. They're not interested. I've got a problem, the patio's slippy, can you clean it? Yeah. What's the price? It's 290 quid. When can you do it? Next Wednesday. Cool, just put it in writing, I'll see you next Wednesday. Done. As quick as that. But you have to read that situation. If you stand on that doorstep going over the same old crap to them about how great you are and how great your system is, they're losing the will to live. They are losing the will to live. But you have to be able to read that. If you can't read that situation, you're not going to close what you need to close to be successful. It's a fact.
Two things I want to talk about before we finish this is handling objections, because especially with roof cleaning, as you've said, 1 in 10, a lot of people will get very, very disheartened when someone says no. I remember it's happened to me. It's happened to all of us. I remember it happened to you before when you had a couple of slow weeks with sales last year. As it happens to everyone, especially this time of year, everyone's advertising, cost per lead goes up, it's harder, right? How do we handle those objections when people are saying too expensive, I need to think about it, I'll get back to you because I've got a few more quotes. How do you cope with that? Because it's easy to worry, isn't it, and kind of think you're doing something wrong.
It is, and I think the first thing is if you know what the turnaround is, if you know you're 1 in 10, right? And this is what people don't know. People don't know what they're quoting, what their system produces. I know mine's 1 in 10, right? I know that, so I know I've got 9 no's. My only worry is when it goes over 10, right? If it goes to 12, I'm thinking, ooh, what's changed? What's changed? 13, 14, then I sell one. Then I'm back to it. So monitoring your numbers and understanding them will help with dealing with rejection, right? So if you know that, if you're pressure washing, if you know that it's 1 in 7, you know you've got 6 no's. You want to collect those 6 no's as quick as you can, right? If you know it's 1 in 7 for jet washing, you want to collect the 6 no's as quick as you can. If you can do 3 today, 3 tomorrow, bang, get them done. There's your 6 no's, bang. And then if you get it yes in the first one, brilliant, you start again. It's about understanding that, because that helps with the mindset of collecting the no's. Collecting the no's is really important, because every no you collect, you are quicker to a yes. And if you know what the number is, then it's very easy to control your own mindset. If you're guessing, then you don't know where it is and what it is. And that's when the doubt starts setting in that you're too dear, you're doing something wrong, your competitors are cheaper. You've got to be strong in your numbers to allow you to understand how many no's. Not everybody's going to buy off you. So you need to know how many no's lead you to a yes. You get the yes, reset the clock, go again. That's the first mindset thing. Dealing with objection face to face, you tell them it's £1,000 and people say to me, God, that's expensive. And my reply is, compared to what? And they're like, oh, well, I've had 2 other quotes and they're significantly cheaper. I said, well, they will be, because I'm the number 1 roof cleaner in the Cotswolds. Yeah. So I'm not going to be the same price as a cheap company. But that's not, and then I say, but that I didn't think you wanted cheap. I thought you wanted value and quality of work done safely. Oh, well, we do. Well, you have to pay for that. Yeah, no, you're right, Matt. Can we get you booked in? Of course you can. That's how I deal with that.
And that's a completely different reaction to, bloody hell, that's expensive. Oh, sorry, what do you have in mind? What's your budget?
Correct.
That's 2 completely different responses, but it determines what kind of precedent you want to set. I think it's also important to, it's a useful exercise can be, if you're getting no's, maybe more than you think you should, maybe ask, oh, no worries at all, thanks for letting me know. Can I just ask, why did you go with someone else? And they'll tell you, maybe we trusted someone else, someone was a bit quicker getting back to us, you were the most expensive. You can get some data back, which then you can then improve your sales process. So don't be afraid to ask, I think, if people do say no, because it can really help you.
I did a video a couple of months ago, a reel, it wasn't a video, it was a reel, and a very top tip, right? But people don't know this, and this is another top tip for this episode, is when you've done a job, whether it be a roof clean or a patio clean or whatever you do, whatever business you're in, right, doesn't just relate to exterior cleaning, right? When you finish the job and you're handing it over and everyone's happy, ask them the question, why did you nearly not book me? Because that is more powerful than any other question you can ask them. Because they'll stand there, they'll think about everything they've seen about you, and then they will give you one piece of information that you might not have seen. And the question is, why did you nearly not book me?
So are you trying to find something that you can improve on there? Is that
yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
that's what the idea of that is.
Yeah, and it's really important that we forget that. We ask them for a review. Do you know what I mean? And we ask them, he said, can you leave us a review because you've done great work? But if you want to really hone into data and numbers, just ask them that. Ask them, why did you not nearly book me?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, there you go. Top tip.
Well, we started a segment last week about answering listener questions, and I was going through a few trying to find one that relates to this, and I think it does a bit. So it's a question from Iron Striker. That's his name. He's basically said, I was wondering if starting a business like this is possible at 18 years old. I've been thinking doing it since I was 16. Will people take me seriously at such a young age? And I think this comes back to some of the stuff we've been talking about today. Can someone at 18 provide the value and the trust to get sales in? What do you think? Do you think it can be done, or do you think it's harder to do? What do you reckon?
I think it can be done. I think you have to be smart. I think you're hopefully already tech savvy and you understand social media better than anyone of an older generation. I think you have to do it, document your story and build trust through your story. There's a young lad, I think he's young. Have you come across Boyle's exterior cleaning in Liverpool?
The name rings a bell.
Lad with long hair, Scouser.
Maybe.
He's brilliant. He's only a young lad. He's just had it in his social media. He's just, and it's really funny. I really like his content, but he's someone that's understood it, got it right, and he is doing really good work, right? And he stands in front of the camera, and he just comes across. He's only young, but he comes across as such a lovable lad. And I get the feeling, and his work's good, right? His work is good. I'm not saying he doesn't do good work. He's got it right. But I get the feeling when I watch his media, it's very authentic. And he comes across as, do you know what? I'd like that lad in my garden. I'd like him. I could see me having a brew with him and having a, do you know what I mean?
So he leans into it. He creates a story.
So his age isn't a barrier. His age isn't a barrier because he's got his social media, his trust building platform. He's got it on point. He's not trying to be a multi-million pound company. He's only just had his first van wraps. He's asked the viewers which wrapping they like best, is it A or B? Oh, okay. He then got some new waterproofs and he was putting them on. Mate, and it's so endearing to think, yeah, he looks like a nice lad, him. I wouldn't mind him doing my drive. And I think he's building a big following and doing good work. And he's a young kid. So can you start at 18?
You can 100%. Absolutely do it at 18. Just tell your story. Don't hide it. Don't try and come across that you're 35. Lean into it and tell your story. And there's no reason why you can't.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah.
Cool. Right, one question each. We're coming to the end. I have one for you.
Yes, because I haven't got one for you yet. I'll have to think of one quickly.
What's one thing that a cleaner can do right now, just one, to improve their quote acceptance rate?
If you're struggling, and this is a direct plug, if you're struggling with sales, get training. Get training from someone. If you're struggling with sales, get training. Because trying to work it out on your own may kill your business. You can get it from anywhere. Go online. Go onto YouTube as your first point and type in how to sell home services, how to sell to consumers, and start learning and taking bits out of it. Get training. Either pay for it or get the free training. But get training. Otherwise, you'll be out of business. That's what I would say. Question for you. What would you say is your number one? From your journey, right? From your journey from start to finish and all the businesses you've had, what is the one thing that has stayed consistent in your sales spiel, patter, strategy? What's the one thing that's stayed consistent? Everything else can change, but one thing, is there one thing you can say, I've done this since day one? It stayed there.
Face to the business. 100%.
Say again, sorry?
Putting my face to the business. First video business, I was running Facebook ads in front of a green screen. Wedding company, I was absolutely everywhere. Our Irish dancing one, we were in front of the camera. Cleaning business, I'm everywhere. Agency, I'm doing this. Yeah, 100%. And there's we don't even have to explain it. We've said it a million times why that is, but that is the consistency. Is you are there in front of, on the promo videos, in the photos, on the socials. Makes sales way easier. And I didn't do it to make sales easy. I just do it because I like having a face to the business. It just makes it what it is, in my opinion.
100%. Yeah, good answer.
Cool. There we go. Well, that's I think that's episode wrapped up. Important that is, man. If you can get hold of your sales, it's everything else just flows, doesn't it? Cash flows. Your socials flow because you got more jobs, so you got more content to post, which then feeds into the machine of building the trust. So if you don't know how to do it, if you're struggling, don't be afraid to reach out for training. Not trying to plug it, but Matt helped me, and it's what he does. So I recommend anyone getting in contact if you need to, or learn it yourself, or do whatever you want. But whatever you do, improve it and work on it. And once you get it, once it clicks, you'll be absolutely flying. I'm sure of it. So that's episode 6, I think. Is it episode 6? Yeah, it is. Bloody hell.
It is.
Flying by,
Yeah, they're going, aren't they now? Yeah.
Yeah. Next episode 7, is about operations and efficiency. So all the things that you can do to help the business run more smoothly. So that'll be really interesting to get into that one. Enjoyed that, Matt? Your bread and butter, sales?
I did, yeah. I like sales. It's so important, isn't it? It's so important to every business. Doesn't matter what business. It's the lifeline. No sales, no money, no work, no business. Simple.
100%. Cool. Well, thank you everyone for listening. If you have any questions about anything that you want us to try and answer in this last part of the segment, last part of the show, drop us a DM, contact us however you want. Comment down below in the videos and we'll try and get those answered. Stick around for next week. It'll be back next Tuesday. It's every Tuesday, by the way, at 6 p.m. Every episode drops on YouTube, Apple Podcast and Spotify. And any suggestions for episodes, let us know as well. And after 12 episodes, we're opening it up so we can do an episode about anything after these 12 episodes. So yeah, do let us know. And any feedback is welcome. And also, please give us a 5-star review if you want to. That'd be very kind. It'll help us to grow and push this podcast to more people. So, yeah, Matt, thanks again for joining me.
Thank you. Speak soon, pal.
We'll see you all on the next one.
See you later.